Imagine a time of intrigue, power, and larger-than-life personalities. Welcome to the Tudor Dynasty. A dynasty that forever altered the course of English history, the Tudor reign spanned over a century, from 1485 to 1603. A period of significant change, it marked a transition from medieval to modern England, transforming the nation into a powerhouse of the Renaissance world. Born out of the turmoil of the Wars of the Roses, the Tudor dynasty came to power when Henry VII, a relatively unknown figure, defeated Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth Field. This unexpected victory marked the dawn of an era defined by political maneuvering, religious upheaval, and exploration. The Tudors gifted England with some of its most famous monarchs, each leaving a distinct mark on the nation's tapestry. We'll delve into the lives of these fascinating figures, starting with the cunning and calculated Henry VII, who laid the foundation for the dynasty. Then we'll explore the larger-than-life personality of Henry VIII, infamous for his 6 wives and the establishment of the Church of England. We'll then turn our attention to Edward VI, a boy king whose brief reign was marked by religious strife, followed by Mary I, whose attempts to return England to Catholicism earned her the nickname Bloody Mary. And finally, we'll delve into the reign of Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, whose long and prosperous rule brought about the Elizabethan Age, a golden era in English history. The Tudor dynasty is a tale of power, passion, and politics, a crucial chapter that shaped the nation's identity and set the stage for its future. It's a saga of religious reform, maritime discovery, and cultural revolution. It's a story of kings and queens who were far from perfect, but whose actions and decisions still resonate with us today. So let's dive into the world of the Tudors, starting with the man who began it all, Henry VII. Born in 1457, Henry VII ascended the throne in 1485 and ruled until his death in 1509. This period was a time of significant transition and change for England as it emerged from the shadows of the War of the Roses, a bloody civil conflict that had torn the country apart. Henry VII's ascension to the throne was not without its challenges, but his reign marked a turning point in English history. Henry VII's journey to the throne was a tumultuous one. Born Henry Tudor, Earl of Richmond, he was a distant claimant to the throne, with his claim primarily coming through his mother, Margaret Beaufort, a descendant of Edward III. Following the death of Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth Field, Henry took the opportunity to seize the throne, thereby ending the War of the Roses and beginning the reign of the Tudor dynasty. One of Henry VII's most notable achievements was his success in ending the War of the Roses. This was a series of conflicts that had been fought between the houses of Lancaster and York for control of the English throne. Henry, a Lancastrian, united the warring factions by marrying Elizabeth of York, thereby symbolically merging the Red Rose of Lancaster and the White Rose of York to create the red and white Tudor rose. This was a significant step in stabilizing the English monarchy and bringing an end to the internal strife that had plagued the country. Henry VII's reign was also marked by his efforts to establish the Tudor dynasty and stabilize the English monarchy. He was a prudent ruler, known for his fiscal responsibility. He implemented policies that increased the crown's income, reduced its debts, and built up a significant surplus. This allowed him to strengthen the monarchy, reduce the power of the nobility, and establish a more centralized government. Henry VII also worked to solidify his family's claim to the throne. He arranged strategic marriages for his children, most notably his eldest son Arthur, to Catherine of Aragon, and his daughter Margaret to the King of Scotland. These alliances not only strengthened the Tudor dynasty, but also helped to secure England's position on the international stage. Under Henry VII's rule, England began to emerge as a major European power. The country was stable, the monarchy was strong, and the stage was set for the dramatic events of the reigns of his successors. Henry VII may not be as famous as his son, Henry VIII, or his granddaughter, Elizabeth I, but his impact on English history should not be underestimated. His prudent rule and strategic decisions laid the foundation for the tumultuous but significant reigns of his successors. He turned a country torn apart by civil war into a stable and prosperous kingdom, setting the stage for the golden age of the Tudor dynasty. Henry VII's prudent rule laid the groundwork for the tumultuous reigns of his successors. His reign was a turning point for England, marking the end of the medieval period and the beginning of the early modern era. Born in 1491, Henry VIII, perhaps the most infamous of all Tudor monarchs, ruled from 1509 until his death in 1547. Known for his larger-than-life personality, he was a man of many passions, from music and hunting to architecture and theology. But perhaps what he is most remembered for are his 6 marriages and his break with the Catholic Church. Henry's first wife was Catherine of Aragon, his brother Arthur's widow. They were married for over 2 decades, but when it became clear that Catherine could not produce a male heir, Henry sought an annulment. The Pope refused, and in a move that would forever change England, Henry broke with the Catholic Church. In 1533, Henry married Anne Boleyn, but their marriage was short-lived. Accused of adultery and treason, Anne was beheaded in 1536 at Tower Green, found within the land of the Tower of London. That same year, Henry married Jane Seymour, who gave birth to his only legitimate son, Edward, but tragically died shortly after childbirth. Henry's 4th wife was Anne of Cleves. The marriage was political, arranged to secure an alliance with Germany. However, the marriage was annulled after just 6 months. Henry then married Catherine Howard, a young woman nearly 40 years his junior. However, Catherine's alleged infidelity led to her execution, making her the second of Henry's wives to meet such a fate. Finally, Henry married Catherine Parr, who outlived him and helped to reconcile him with his 2 daughters, Mary and Elizabeth. But Henry's marital escapades were not his only contribution to history. His break with the Catholic Church led to the establishment of the Church of England, a seismic shift in the religious and political landscape of the country. Henry declared himself the head of the new church, thereby centralizing religious and political power in the monarchy. This move had far-reaching implications. It led to the dissolution of the monasteries, as Henry seized their wealth and lands. This not only significantly increased royal coffers, but also redistributed wealth and power throughout the country, leading to the rise of a new gentry class. Henry's reign was also marked by significant legal and governmental reforms. He strengthened the navy, modernized the government, and established the principle of royal supremacy, which asserted the sovereign's authority over the church in his realm. However, Henry's reign was not without controversy. His break with the Catholic Church caused deep divisions within England, leading to religious persecution and violence. His desire for a male heir led to the mistreatment and execution of 2 of his wives, and his lavish spending nearly bankrupted the country. Despite these controversies, there is no denying the impact of Henry's reign. His decisions shaped the course of English history and laid the foundation for the modern British state. His larger-than-life personality and dramatic reign have been immortalized in literature, film, and television, making him one of the most famous monarchs in history. In the end, Henry VIII was a man of contradictions. He was a lover of the arts and a patron of scholarship, yet he was also a tyrant who ruled with an iron fist. He was a devout Christian who broke with the church to satisfy his personal desires. He was a king who dreamed of a male heir, yet his greatest legacy was arguably his daughter Elizabeth, who would go on to become one of England's greatest monarchs. Henry VIII's reign was one of dramatic change, setting the stage for an England that was forever altered. Born in 1537, Edward VI, the long-awaited male heir, ascended the throne at the tender age of 9 and ruled until his premature death in 1553. Though a child, he bore the weight of the crown on his young shoulders, standing at the helm of a kingdom in the throes of religious and political change. Edward VI's reign saw significant religious reform. Influenced by his Protestant tutors, he steered the Church of England further away from Catholicism. The Book of Common Prayer, introduced under his rule, remains a cornerstone of Anglican worship even today. This shift wasn't without resistance, however. The changes sparked uproar, notably the Prayer Book Rebellion of 1549, a violent manifestation of the population's discontent. Yet Edward VI's personal reign was limited, constrained by his age and ill health. The young king suffered from a debilitating illness, likely tuberculosis, which led to his untimely death at the age of 15. This physical struggle was mirrored in the political realm, where the council appointed to rule in his name grappled for control. This council was dominated by 2 key figures: Edward Seymour, Edward's uncle, and the Duke of Somerset, who initially held the title of Lord Protector, and John Dudley, the Duke of Northumberland, who eventually ousted Seymour in a political coup. These men essentially ruled England during Edward's reign, each implementing policies according to their individual agendas and ambitions. The power struggle culminated in a controversial attempt to manipulate the line of succession. As Edward's health declined, Northumberland persuaded him to name Lady Jane Grey, his own daughter-in-law, as his successor, bypassing Edward's half-sisters Mary and Elizabeth. This bold move was short-lived, however, as Mary swiftly reclaimed her rightful place on the throne following Edward's death. Edward VI's short reign was marked by religious upheaval and the power struggles of those who ruled in his name. Yet, it was instrumental in shaping the religious landscape of England, setting the stage for the reigns of his half-sisters Mary I and Elizabeth I, who would each take the country on their own distinct religious paths. Born in 1516, Mary I, England's first queen regnant, ruled from 1553 until her death in 1558. Mary, also known as Mary Tudor, was the daughter of Henry VIII and his first wife, Catherine of Aragon. Her ascension to the throne was a historic moment as she was the first woman to successfully claim the English throne in her own right. After the short and tumultuous reign of her half-brother, Edward VI, Mary was determined to undo the religious reforms he and their father had put in place. She was a devout Catholic and sought to return England to the Catholic faith, a mission that would define her reign. In her efforts to restore Catholicism, Mary had Parliament pass laws that reversed the religious reforms of the previous monarchs. These laws reinstated the Heresy Acts, which made it a crime to deny the doctrines of the Catholic Church. This led to the persecution of Protestants, earning Mary the infamous nickname Bloody Mary. An estimated 300 Protestants were burned at the stake during her reign, a brutal enforcement of her religious policies that have left a dark stain on her legacy. However, Mary's reign was not solely defined by religious persecution. In 1554, she married Philip II of Spain, marking a significant political alliance. The marriage was a controversial one, as many feared it would lead to the domination of England by Spain. Despite the fears and opposition, the marriage went ahead, although it did not result in the feared Spanish control over English affairs. Mary's marriage to Philip was more of a political alliance than a love match. The marriage was childless, leading to a succession crisis upon Mary's death. Despite her fervent hope and several false pregnancies, Mary did not bear a child to continue her Catholic line. Throughout her reign, Mary faced numerous challenges, including economic issues, famine, and influenza epidemics. Her reign was marked by religious and political turmoil, as well as personal heartache and health problems. Despite her efforts, Mary was unable to achieve her goal of a Catholic England, as her policies were reversed under the reign of her Protestant half-sister Elizabeth. Mary's reign was a time of religious and political turmoil, setting the stage for the reign of her half-sister Elizabeth. Despite her controversial reign and the dark legacy of her religious policies, Mary I holds a significant place in history as England's first queen regnant, paving the way for future female rulers. Born in 1533, Elizabeth I, the last of the Tudor monarchs, ruled from 1558 until her death in 1603. Known for her intelligence and formidable personality, Elizabeth I was the daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. Her accession to the throne was a groundbreaking event, as it marked the beginning of a queen's reign who would remain unmarried and childless, yet proved to be one of the most influential monarchs in English history. Elizabeth's reign was characterized by her skillful navigation of religious divisions that threatened England's stability. Her father, Henry VIII, had broken away from the Catholic Church to establish the Church of England. However, her half-sister Mary I had returned the country to Catholicism during her reign. When Elizabeth ascended the throne, she aimed to strike a balance, implementing a policy of religious compromise. She re-established Protestantism as the state religion, but allowed for a degree of religious tolerance, thus creating a sense of unity and stability within her kingdom. Elizabeth's diplomatic skills were also noteworthy. She managed to maintain peace for the majority of her reign, skillfully playing one European power off against another to ensure England's security. This was particularly evident in her dealings with Spain. Despite the tension and eventual war with Spain, Elizabeth managed to keep the conflict under control, resulting in the famous defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588. This victory boosted England's status as a global power and further solidified Elizabeth's reputation as a strong and capable leader. Perhaps one of the most intriguing aspects of Elizabeth's reign was her decision to remain unmarried. This was highly unusual for a monarch, especially a female one. Her decision was driven by a desire to maintain control over her kingdom rather than share power with a husband. This earned her the nickname the Virgin Queen. Despite numerous suitors and political pressures to marry and produce an heir, Elizabeth remained steadfast in her decision, leading to an era of relative peace and stability in England. During Elizabeth's reign, England experienced a cultural flowering known as the Elizabethan era. This period was marked by significant progress in the arts, literature, and science. William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, and Thomas Kyd were among the many notable figures of this period, producing works that continue to be celebrated today. Additionally, Elizabethan explorers like Sir Francis Drake and Sir Walter Raleigh embarked on expeditions that expanded England's knowledge and influence across the globe. Elizabeth's reign was marked by several challenges, including threats to her life, economic troubles, and a lack of an heir to succeed her. However, her resilience and determination saw her through, and she successfully led her kingdom through a period of significant change and development. Her reign, which lasted for 45 years, was one of the longest in English history, surpassed only by a few other monarchs. Elizabeth I's reign, known as the Golden Age, marked the end of the Tudor dynasty, but the legacy of this fascinating era continues to captivate us even today. Elizabeth's reign is a testament to her skill as a leader and her ability to navigate the complex political and religious landscape of her time. She laid the foundation for England's future as a global power and left an indelible mark on English history and culture. Her legacy continues to inspire and intrigue us, underscoring the enduring significance of the Tudor period. From Henry VII's prudent rule to the cultural flowering of the Elizabethan era, the Tudor period was a time of dynamic change and unforgettable personalities. It was a time of significant shifts in politics, religion, and culture, all under the watchful eyes of a single ruling dynasty, the Tudors. Let's take a moment to look back at the key points we've covered about each monarch and their indelible impact on English history. We began with Henry VII, the founder of the Tudor dynasty. His reign marked the end of the volatile Wars of the Roses and the beginning of a new era of relative stability and prosperity. Then we have the formidable Henry VIII, a man of larger-than-life appetites and ambitions. His decision to break with the Catholic Church to marry Anne Boleyn was a defining moment in English history, leading to the establishment of the Church of England and a period of religious upheaval. Next, we delved into the reign of Edward VI, a boy king whose short-lived rule was marked by religious reform and the strengthening of Protestantism in England. His early death led to the ascension of his half-sister, Mary I, whose fervent Catholicism earned her the nickname Bloody Mary. She sought to reverse the religious changes implemented by her father and brother, leading to a time of great persecution. Finally, we explored the reign of Elizabeth I, a queen whose astute political acumen and cultural patronage ushered in a golden age for England. Her reign saw the defeat of the Spanish Armada, the flourishing of English drama and literature, and the strengthening of England as a global power. Each of these monarchs, in their unique way, shaped the course of English history, leaving a legacy that continues to resonate today. The Tudor period was a time of great change, of political and religious upheaval, of cultural flowering and global exploration. And so we close the book on the Tudor dynasty, a period that continues to fascinate, inspire, and intrigue us centuries later.